Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am smiling here because I was just looking back on videos that I made when I started this channel 8 years ago, and I haven't had the channel public in 8 years, although I've kept it. I started it about 10 years ago, and I used to just upload videos. I used to document like concerts that I was going to with my best friend. I had conversations with my niece, and I'll put context on that now in a moment. Um, and I used to just put them all as private and save them for my own viewing. And then I started to upload them and make them listed, so just for people that I sent the link to. And then I think one video I allowed to be public, and I was just looking back at that there, and I haven't had any YouTube videos public since that time 8 years ago. So a lot has changed obviously in 8 years, and some people probably know me because I know there's some subscribers here, and they will obviously get a notification now to say that I've uploaded. But for people who don't know me, I work as a psychotherapist, and I work with children and adolescents and parents. The reason I had my niece on the YouTube channel was I used to love sitting down with her and getting her perspective on what it's like to be a young person in Ireland today, at that time obviously. And we had great crack. I was just looking at the videos and we used to just have great chats. And I loved doing that. I loved creating videos. And at that time, I had just developed a program for young people, a well-being and kind of self-care program for young people. And I was working in schools, I was self-employed, I was going around to different organisations around the country, and I was delivering the program that I created as a psychotherapist. So it was like a psychoeducation, a wellness-based program in school. So I'd go in for like 6 weeks and teach the program and give them workbooks and tools and stuff to take away. And then shortly after that, COVID happened. So if that was 8 years ago and COVID was 6 years ago, there was a 2 year kind of period where I was doing that. And then during those 2 years, I started to develop workshops just for teenage girls. So I kind of branched away from the school programs and the wellness kind of general program, and I started to do a girl group kind of program just for girls, and I called it Girl Squad because it was like a squad of girls, and I wanted to just create like a really nice group community for young girls all around well-being and self-care. And that was kind of spawned from about 10 years ago, well, even probably longer, so 2010, 2011. Around that time there was a lot of kind of bloggers had just come on the scene. So blogging and vlogging obviously wasn't a thing back then, like in 2010, 2011. And there was only a few people doing blogging. It was quite like an American thing, it wasn't really an Irish thing. And I remember at the time Suzanne Jackson, so if you're Irish you'll obviously know who Suzanne Jackson is. She was kind of the first blogger that I remember ever seeing, and she used to release a blog called So Sue Me. And then she kind of branched out into makeup, and she started doing these makeup master classes around the country. And it was a big deal, you know, it was like way before like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. It was kind of around the time of Facebook. I think Bebo might have just kind of, you know, had its day, and Facebook was kind of the thing at the time. But anyway, Suzanne Jackson was doing these master classes, and I remember thinking, like, because the master classes were quite glamorous, and she was teaching like women how to do makeup and like buying beauty products. She had brought out lashes as well, and I remember like her lashes were like such a big thing at the time. It's a bit like, you know, when a makeup product comes out now, like in TikTok shop and everybody buys it. Like at the time, Suzanne Jackson's lashes were the thing. Um, so she had these beauty master classes, and basically she would go around the country and she would be in like these conference rooms in hotels, and she would be teaching women about makeup and stuff. And I remember thinking at the time, wouldn't it be great if we could do something like that for young girls but about well-being? So getting as many young girls in a room and teaching them not makeup but teaching them about self-care skills, about loving yourself, self-talk, affirmations, like really really minding yourself. And I kind of got to work at that time around 2012, and at the time I was training to be a therapist, and then I went on, so I did a higher diploma in therapy general therapy, and then I did a master's degree, a 2-year master's degree in child and adolescence, and that's what I specialised in. So this was all throughout the course of my training and just developing my career as a therapist, and I had all these thoughts and ideas. So when I graduated and I finished my therapy degree or higher diploma, just around the time I was doing my master's degree, I set up Girl Squad, and I booked a venue. I booked a theatre room in the Helix, and I brought along people who were like influencing at the time, or people who were like quite prominent in like the public eye. I brought along a girl who had like alopecia. She came along, she was very generous with her time, and she spoke about having alopecia and losing her hair but still maintaining confidence. A friend of mine was a fitness coach, so he came along and he taught the girls like movement and stuff all within the one day in the workshop. I was doing like a talk on wellness and self-care and stuff, and then we had lovely goodie bags, and I put like lots of lovely stuff in the goodie bags, and I actually did ask Suzanne Jackson for some of her lashes, and without any question she gave me a whole box of lashes, and the girls were able to walk away with a little goodie bag with lashes. And it was just a lovely time. And then like about a year or so after that, COVID happened, and it kind of just stopped everything because I couldn't like go to venues. We weren't allowed to go 2k out of your radius, outside your radius of 2k or 5k. So I did manage to put some of the workshops online, and I did a group with about 7 or 8 young girls every Saturday for about 2 years. So we used to meet online, and it was like kind of like group therapy, I guess, a little bit of like support for them during lockdown because they were isolated, they weren't in school anymore, and we used to just meet. And like we met the first in March 2020, and we had like an Easter kind of virtual sleepover. So I was obviously on Zoom and the girls were all on Zoom, but they had like their pajamas, their Easter eggs, their cups of tea, and we just had like a big girly kind of virtual sleepover. And then I remember I did like a darkness into light then the following month. I think it was like maybe April or May, and they all woke up and we went on Zoom, and I went for the darkness into light walk at the beach, and I was able to show them like the sunrise and stuff, and it just kind of grew from there for 2 years. The same group of girls met every Saturday night, and I just was on Zoom with them for a few hours just checking in to see how they were doing. And that kind of stopped then after that group, because the group went on for 2 years as long as it needed to go, as long as the girls needed it, and then it just kind of phased out and the girls grew out of it, which it did what it needed to do. The function of it had done what it needed to do, and the girls didn't need it anymore, which is great. So I was able to let them go, and some of them went on and graduated and went to college and stuff. So I suppose I have never really felt like I've got to finish what I've started with those groups, purely because it was prematurely stopped because of COVID. And I've ever since then I've always thought I would love to get back to doing those groups and those workshops, because that's my creativity, and I've always loved being able to have a variation or a variety in my work. So I do work privately. I have like my own little practice. I'm self-employed and I see clients, one-to-one. So this YouTube channel is not about that aspect of my work. I wanted to come back to this YouTube channel to create kind of a library of my work and just somewhere to have it, like a little behind the scenes of the workshops, because I don't have any social media. So I don't have like Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or anything like that. I used 2 years ago, but I haven't been online in about 3 years. So I suppose I've been thinking about bringing the groups back, and I've spent, I'd say, the past 5 months kind of refining the groups, kind of looking at all my PowerPoints for the groups, creating all the consent forms for the parents, creating the actual workshops, so what I'll do in them, the themes of the workshops. So I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes, and I've been looking at venues, and I'm very close to getting a venue now. I'm just in the middle of signing the contract and doing like the insurance, the liability insurance and stuff like that. So I'm definitely bringing the groups back, and I'm really excited, and that's why I'm here to talk about just the channel and what it's going to be. I'm really, really excited to bring them back, and I can't wait to get back into, I just love working with teenage girls. I love kind of just talking about self-love. I love seeing a girl come into a workshop and she's really low in confidence, really shy, and then she might make a friend, or she gets connected to the rest of the girls, and she just grows and flourishes. And I definitely think there's spaces like that needed for young girls. There's not a lot of space like that for any young person other than youth groups or the usual kind of hangout places that they go to, like kind of drop-in youth clubs and stuff like that. But a dedicated space just for girls to go and talk about things like periods and, you know, what it's like to be a girl, kind of the trials and tribulations of being a girl, friendship, sisterhood, girlhood, all that kind of stuff. So I've just noticed that even more in the past 8 years, like the gap has been just become so much more clearer to me in these spaces. And then when I'm in my private practice and I work primarily with young girls, that's not by design, that just happens to be like lots of teenage girls come to see me, lots of young kind of preteen girls come to see me. And then I've worked in services over the past 8 years. Like I've worked in different services and I would have been working with adolescents, and a lot of teenage girls kind of have the same issues. So a lot of it's around body confidence, self-esteem, making friends, kind of changing from primary school to secondary school, those transitions. And I think having a group, like a core group that you can connect to and just sit and talk about, this is what I'm going through, because I think a lot of young girls, I think a lot of young people in general probably don't talk about it, and they think that they're the only one going through it. So to have a space to come to and just learn about well-being and learn about things like consent and kind of, you know, body confidence and, yeah, just like self-esteem, kind of resilience, the relationship with yourself, positive self-talk, and just a really positive environment. And I've been ordering the goodie bags and stuff like that behind the scenes, so I'm looking forward to it. And I suppose this channel is just going to be a place where I record a lot of the girlhood. So it's called the Girlhood Collective now. Obviously this page is called the Girlhood Collective, so it's evolved from, it used to be like a program for life, which was the very first thing that I called the program, and I did have a program called that. And then I moved into Girls Squad, and now it's evolved into the Girlhood Collective. So it just feels a little bit more of a mature thing now. And I was looking back at myself 8 years ago and I've changed a lot as well. Definitely a few more grey hairs, but you know, that's just life, and that's obviously the evolution of 8 years, what happens in that 8 years. So I'm just going to use this channel basically for myself to upload some of my work, because I think sometimes with young girls they might not necessarily know what a group involves. So I will just be doing behind the scenes work. So I'll just be bringing the camera behind the scenes, and I will obviously won't be recording any of the attendees, so none of the girls are going to be recorded. Like that's not even an option for them to be recorded. But what I will do is just have me kind of with action shots. So I'll do like maybe a day in the life of a workshop, or come like get ready with me for a workshop, and just behind the scenes of what's involved and stuff like that. Because I personally love looking at that kind of stuff on YouTube. They're my kind of favourite things to watch. I love like little day in the life videos. I love, like, there's certain content creators that I really like on YouTube, and I look at their vlogs like weekly and stuff. So that's just the kind of content that I like to consume. So yeah, it'll just be like kind of more for a kind of a place where I can put my body of work. Like that, I don't have Instagram or anything, so I've nowhere to kind of put my work. And I think having a website is kind of limiting, because a lot of it is kind of written content, and I think people like to see visual now that we have access to kind of visual content and kind of short form content as well. So I'll be uploading a few shorts, a few long form videos, and yeah, just kind of a place where if people are interested in doing the workshops, if parents want to know like what's involved, if a young girl is struggling and she's thinking I don't want to go because I don't know anybody, they might be able to go onto the website, onto the page here on YouTube, and just have a look and see that it's actually you know, what it's about. And I think one of the things that I've always stood by, and I still stand by it, and any girl that's attended any of my workshops will be able to, you know, attest to this, that there's no kind of bullying or no kind of mean girl kind of energy at my groups. It's all around kind of friendship, safety, cultivating like a nice safe environment for the teenage girls when they come, and everybody is nice to each other. And if there's any friends that come, I always encourage the friends to maybe not sit together and, you know, don't have that kind of clique energy in the groups. Obviously you can bring your friend and that's fine, but I just don't like when there's, you know, two best friends coming and a group of best friends. So I always try and encourage, like, if you are with your best friends, maybe just split up, or maybe just invite one of the girls into your you know, if you're having a little chat or having a snack or something, maybe invite one of the girls who's new and on her own. And it takes a lot of courage, I think, for young girls to go on their own. But as I've said, like in lots of the workshops in the past, many of the young girls have come on their own and they've left with at least one phone number or one friend, and they might meet up with them. Like I know in the workshop that I did in COVID, a lot of those girls started by themselves. I think two of them were in the same school, maybe three, and there was eight of them all together, and they had their own little WhatsApp group, and they used to contact each other, and you know, they'd keep in touch at different milestones in their life, like graduations, leaving certs and stuff like that. So that's kind of the vibe that I go for with the groups. There's absolutely no mean girl energy. There's nobody gets left out. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is accepted. And we have like a code of ethics of, you know, just kind of supporting the sisterhood and, you know, just being really nice to each other. No bullying, no gossip, no criticism, nothing like that. And if anything like that happens, it's always kind of thrashed out in the moment, and I facilitate that, and then we just move on. But I've never had to do that because it's never happened. So I just want to make that clear. If there is a young person reading this and she's thinking about coming along and she's worried about kind of mean girls, or, you know, kind of, because young girls, you know, they it's natural and it's normal, you know, if they bitch about each other and they don't get on and stuff, and that's normal, that's healthy, that's, you know, that's life. But it's just important that in my group we don't do that, because that's not what it's about. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to come on and just use this video for, just to kind of reintroduce myself, to put the video out there, to make a start, because I have been sitting down, you know, very often lately trying to get this video up, but I don't know, I just kind of don't do it because I think, oh, I'll do it another day, and I think, oh, there's no point because, you know, nobody's going to watch it. But I don't have a community yet, and I'm hoping to build a community, so this is obviously the first step. You don't start off with like a lot of people in your community, you start off and you create a community, so hoping that this is going to serve that purpose. So the groups are in progress. I haven't quite advertised all of them just yet, but they will be starting like the last weekend in July or the weekend after the bank holiday in August. So I'm waiting for the venue to come back and confirm. They are in Dublin, so unfortunately if you're in any other part of Ireland you probably won't be able to attend unless you travel, and they usually are on at a weekend, so usually on a Saturday. The odd time would be on a Sunday, but again, that's venue depending, and the venue that I'm looking at the moment is a Saturday, so it's going to be, there'll be 2 different workshops a month. So for girls aged 12 to 15, they'll be in the same group, and then girls aged 16 to 18, they'll be in the older girls group, and they'll be a little bit different. Obviously the developmental age of like a 12-year-old is very different to a 16 and 18-year-old, so the group will be kind of meeting different needs for the different girls, and the chats will be very different as well, again kind of developmentally. They're very different ages, and I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot kind of coming up. There's different edits, so there'll be different themes every month. So the first one is like the confidence edit, and then we might look at friendship, kind of anxiety, social anxiety, you know, kind of resilience, building resilience, social media, body image, self-talk, self-love, self-care, all that kind of stuff. And they usually go on, when I've done them before, I've done them kind of around from the school term, so around the end of August, kind of end of July, August, and then right through until maybe February or March, and then there's a little break because the girls go on holidays and stuff. So I just wanted to come on and get a start on making the channel what I want it to be. So I don't think I have anything else to say. I think I'll just leave it here, but I'm looking forward to kind of uploading different bits and pieces, and I hope you will join me for the journey of the Girlhood Collective. So I'm going to leave it here, and I will be back soon with another video, maybe a behind the scenes or like a come with me while I prepare for the first workshop or something. But I'm excited, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye!